Good morning, everyone. It is great to be in front of you. I will tell you that it's been a while since I've done this kind of thing, right? But happy to be here, glad to be a part of what is personally my fourth in-person AWS DC Summit, Public Sector Summit. Glad to be back. So, as was mentioned before, my name is Trey Vance. I am a go-to-market specialist with Red Hat, and I have been there for about 2.5 years. So thank you, sir. Prior to that, I was actually at AWS for 3 years as well, in the public sector. So I have a long heritage when it comes to working with public sector organizations. And again, just understanding those trends, the direction that public sector organizations are going. They have a special mission, and we're here to support that mission in any way that we can. So what are some of the trends that we're seeing in government? Well, one of the trends has been with us for a while and will be going forward, and it has actually transformed the way that we work. We work now in a hybrid environment. Sometimes we go into offices, we've had extended periods of time at home, and it's actually forced innovation on all of us. It's changed the way that we live, it changed the way that we work, and it's going to continue to provide insights into kind of the future of technology and the direction that we're going. What's the government doing kind of in response to this? One of the initiatives was called Cloud Smart. And what Cloud Smart does is it is one of the beginnings of that center of excellence, that idea that we're going to learn from the cloud. The cloud's not new anymore. AWS in and of itself has had a couple of anniversaries of some of their key services like S3 and SQS and EC2. So people have been using these services for years. But there is a fundamental way to provide governance, visibility into your environment, and a way to scale up. And all organizations of all sizes can participate in the cloud and can be successful and be agile. In order to do that, the government has created a standards body. FedRAMP is one of those standards. It's one of many standards. FedRAMP is now going through an open transformation. They have actually recently, in the last year, produced something that they called OSCAL, which is a compliance automation language that was developed in the open. It actually started as a GitHub project, and it was something that was worked on in collaboration with industry. But the goal there was to create, instead of a paper process, an audit process that involved people and time, something that was machine readable, something that had agile principles. And so now you can actually create a system security plan in code. So that's a better security posture, a better compliance posture for government agencies. And it allows us in industry to participate with government organizations that much faster. And finally, the GSA has created the Centers of Excellence. A Cloud Center of Excellence is a way to iterate on the cloud in such a way that you can figure out what to right size, how to scale, how to secure your environment, and what the life cycle of that environment is. And there's funding available through the Technology Modernization Fund to build those kinds of practices. And we in industry can help with that as well. I'm going to give you a brief timeline of the AWS and Red Hat relationship and partnership. It started even before 2008, but that was when our flagship product, the Red Hat Enterprise Linux, was first available on AWS. And through that time, we've continued to iterate with the AWS team and also with our relationship, culminating last year in the launch of the Red Hat OpenShift service on AWS. And that service is transformative for both. And the reason for that is it allows us to bring the techniques of containers at scale, Kubernetes, enterprise Kubernetes at scale, and app modernization to the forefront. And so now you can take those lessons that you've learned from on-prem, and as you move into the cloud, there's a relationship that you could have with Red Hat and AWS as well, and then continue to build those new modern applications. Let's take a business view of this, right? So When organizations, teams, agencies, other parts of industry, when they go into the cloud and they start to build these new applications, there's often these things that they remember that they used to do before, and now they're doing them again in the cloud. They want to increase the deployment frequency. They want to add new features and functionality. And how do they do that very quickly? How do they decrease the time that it takes to release these features? Often there are these things that crop up when you do that. So when you're building applications at scale, failures and errors tend to crop in, especially when you're moving fast. So how do I mitigate that? How do I decrease the errors but increase the agility, the features and functionalities that the mission owners and the business folks require? And then when it comes time to make sure that that can be replicated throughout different regions, availability zones, how do I restore that very quickly? How do I ensure that if there is some type of an outage or there's some type of a failure in my application that I can mediate that very quickly? So do I have to make trade-offs? Do I have to move fast and break everything? Or can I move quickly and then bring along with me the features and functionalities that I'm looking for? Everyone said hybrid, right? Hybrid cloud promised us that we were going to be able to do all of these wonderful things. We were supposed to be able to build our multiple tier applications. We were supposed to be able to build cloud apps and do it all in the same way. Well, it didn't quite work out that way, right? Having a common language framework platform helps to accelerate all those things. What doesn't help to do that is to have differentiated tools in multiple environments, right? So one of the most important things to realize is doing hybrid cloud even, it's not that simple. It's not that I'm going to use various tools here and different tools there without alignment. So the first challenge that we end up having is it's complex, right? So, organizations move to containers, they move to Kubernetes, but Kubernetes by itself is not enough. Kubernetes is just an engine. It's a means to do something, especially when you're on-prem. Kubernetes allows you to build microservices, but in order to build those microservices, you need tools on top of it that allow you to manage a variety of different things. So if I want to do all these things, I'm going to need some way to do upgrades, updates, remediation of security. I want to be able to work with third parties. So I want to be able to work with certified content, certified containers, things like operators, things to automate the environment. So in doing that, we at Red Hat have actually brought a lot of those things to the forefront, right? We work in these significant interest groups. We work in the technical working groups, and we do all of this stuff out in the open. But we're helping to solve the problems of how do I have platform services? Like how do I interconnect these different applications that are running at the microservice levels? All these functions, how do I build those things together? How do I have a common set of languages and runtimes? How do I have hardened runtimes and languages? So I'm not just taking these things from pure open source, but I'm actually refining them and testing them for scale. Some of your data services as well. So how do I connect to things like DynamoDB? How do I connect to MongoDB or Snowflake? And all of these tools that I'm using in a cloud environment. So we talked about some of the challenges. These things are complex. We're starting to work towards easing that complexity and demystifying the whole process. The next thing you talk about is security and governance, right? How do I create a comprehensive security approach? I need to do that in a way that's open and transparent. I need to be able to do that in a way that can be tested and tried. How do I defend? And how do I defend with all these different tool sets? How do I extend that to governance in the cloud and governance at scale, governance in multiple AWS accounts, multiple regions? Do I have to do all this myself? There's always the classic build versus buy conversation. And organizations don't have to really make that choice. that choice is kind of made for them, right? So this is an eye chart, but this is from the Cloud Native Compute Foundation. These are all of the sandbox and incubated and graduated projects. And you'll notice that you can't even see all of this, right? There are multiple tools for storage, multiple tools for container networking, multiple security tools, multiple CI/CD pipelines. It's a complex group. You know, at AWS, they talk about the pace of innovation, right? And the pace of innovation is very important. The open source community has over 30 million developers, and there's over 100,000 projects. What Red Hat does and what our core value is to be able to work with those communities, shepherd those communities, and then test and validate that stack for you. So we give you an opinionated architecture based on open source with what we call an upstream first mentality, which is that we develop out in the open and we actually share our learnings back to the community. So when you think about Red Hat as an organization that's been around for over 25 years, that organization has seen a lot of stuff. They've seen a lot of things on-prem. They've seen a lot of things in the cloud, seen a lot of things at scale. And to share that back to the community makes the open source community better over time, and it also spurs more and more of this innovation. So there's an innovation flywheel. And quite simply, our approach is to have community-powered innovation and to share and operate in that community. That's what we've always done. That's what we will continue to do. So one of the ways that we're doing this is through a product that we call OpenShift. OpenShift is our application platform. And as an application platform, it means that it has opinions on the logging stack, the security stack, the API management, et cetera. So these are ways that you can build. Now we started, on-prem, as a lot of organizations did with that. And then in the last year, we've actually introduced the Red Hat OpenShift service on AWS. So now you have that same container platform, the same application platform, but now as a capacity on demand, pay-as-you-go service that runs on AWS and is jointly supported by Red Hat and AWS. So that's a very important thing for us. So you could start your journey with AWS, opening a support ticket or engaging with your SAs, your partner SAs, and the entire AWS ecosystem. You could start that journey with Red Hat on-prem. So as a complete app service, think about the way that developers innovate. You're giving them a platform. So platforms, by their very nature, allow you to create new tooling very quickly without having to reorganize everything underneath. So you don't have to rip and replace a platform. The platform allows you to build the next app and the next app with an enterprise software lifecycle and with the ability to scale very quickly. So you can now start to create those features, reduce the errors because I have an integrated platform that has support above the hypervisor, right? So I have, in my shared responsibility model, a much higher level of engagement. So it's not read the manual, figure it out. It's actually, hey, I've seen this done. I've seen the ROSA workshops. I've seen the OpenShift workshops. I've engaged with the Red Hat teams. I've engaged with the AWS teams. So there's a way for us to do these things together out in the open and really accelerate the work that we're doing. It's an enterprise-grade product, which means it goes through a little more than 140 different validations and checks, things to confirm that it works at scale, to confirm that we can do updates, upgrades, and any number of other day one and day two operations. And then again, a flexible consumption metric, right? Capacity on demand, pay as you go, with of course concepts that are familiar to AWS customers like reserved instances and savings plans. Those are the things that will help you to, as you sustain your use of these products, recognize, discounted or, the value of running it over the long term. So as an app platform, we've seen an improvement in developer velocity, an improvement in the overall feature sets that are being introduced at a rapid pace. and we're also seeing operational efficiency. So these are the things that save your team's time and money and be able to pivot into new opportunities and new missions. So I won't go through a ton of this, but suffice to say, we work in all industries. We're actually in every cabinet level agency as an organization, and we're in throughout every industry, right? So in the aviation industry, we've actually had customers that are moving towards the cloud, moving towards AWS, and then also leveraging their Red Hat knowledge and being able to move to the capacity on demand pay-as-you-go model in the cloud and be able to consume a variety of services. We actually have within our ecosystem tooling for being able to adhere to DISA STIGs or CIS benchmarks, ways of engaging with a security posture that provides visibility into your environment, and also ways to be able to move very quickly. So we can leverage and integrate things like S3 to form data lakes or modern data analytics by using things like Athena and building out data science on top of OpenShift. And doing that with the same governance and supportability that we've been known for, but now do that in the cloud to accelerate those workloads. So to recap, the things that were really causing us challenges: complexity of the environment and how to manage in these multiple cloud environments, multiple regions, availability zones, et cetera. Complexity was solved by using the same cloud-native, cloud-ready platform. One of the things that we talked about with migration being a challenge, that we have migration tools that are open. So we have our migration toolkits that allow organizations to assess their applications on-prem and move them into OpenShift. And OpenShift runs on AWS as a native service, and we're able to scale and integrate with our operator framework into all of the different 200 plus AWS services. And then with security and governance, the last and probably most important thing. Security is always everyone's day zero job, and that job will never go away and it'll always become more complex. But the important thing is that we're with you every step of the way. We publish things like our security posture for Enterprise Linux, for OpenShift, for all of our products. And there are mitigations that we have developed by enabling security by default, our SE Linux, having things like our FIPS validated cryptographic modules that are pervasive throughout our platform and throughout our product portfolio. So that means that you can work with confidence in being able to do FIPS 140-2 or -3 cryptography. So you can do at rest, in flight, even in memory security as well. And so you can secure those microservices using OpenShift. So where do we go from here, right? Red Hat OpenShift service on AWS is available. If customers choose to self-manage OpenShift as a container platform for their own needs in AWS, whether that's GovCloud, the commercial cloud, or even secret, they can do that with the container platform that they would self-manage. So we have a spectrum, a continuum of different tooling that's available throughout AWS and throughout the ecosystem. And then I would also encourage you all, to get started. Try it out. The great thing about being in the AWS console is that you can start immediately. So you can go and you can enable OpenShift and begin running it. It's all CLI or API driven, so there's a way to get started with it very quickly. So I would encourage you to try it. If you've never used it before, we actually have some step-by-step information in the rosaworkshop.io. That's a great way to get started, a great way to click through and see all the examples and build some custom apps. So if you don't have an app of your own that you could think of that you want to bring or test, experiment with on Rosa, try the Rosa Online Workshop. That'll allow us to be able to move very quickly, for you to be able to get your hands on it, get some perspective on it, and see how it integrates with the various AWS services. There'd be a great way to build a machine learning model inside of SageMaker, working with us in Rosa. So I would encourage you to take that and run with it. It's all on your AWS invoice, so it's very simple, low friction. And if you wanted to learn some more information about us, on the AWS website, there's actually a link to Rosa. Rosa actually sits within the AWS container space, but it's viewed as a turnkey container platform. And then finally, since we're all here at a summit, we're actually in person, come visit us at the booth. There's swag down there that you just will not believe, right? So I've heard there are hats. Now, they used to be red hats, but now they're like the trucker style hats. So, there's hats, there's t-shirts, there's pins, stickers, right? So go visit the booth, and we're also going to be doing a reception for those that are interested. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for listening today. I encourage questions. I'll actually be here in the corner answering any and all of the questions that you have. And maybe there's an answer in there, but I'll definitely entertain those questions for sure. And then finally, I wanted to remind people of the survey. The survey is important. It helps everyone to understand what we're doing good, what we want to do better, how we can make this better for you, because we're here for you, and we're here so that you can get an opportunity to engage with us. Now, in this room, I will tell you, if you're not a Red Hatter, I'm not saying everyone in this room is a Red Hatter, but I recognize a lot of you, but there are plenty of Red Hatters in here. So if anyone that's not a Red Hatter wants to talk to a Red Hatter, you have quite a few people to choose from. But thank you. Thank you for your time. Enjoy this summit. Enjoy being back together with everyone else, and happy to engage with you with any questions.